You know that feeling when you scroll through a dozen listings for a commercial ice maker, see glossy photos of sleek stainless steel units, and think you've finally found the one that'll keep your bar, catering service, or backyard party stocked all night. Then you get it home, and the machine either barely keeps up with demand or takes forever to clean, and you're left wondering if you just wasted a solid chunk of cash. That's the exact scenario I was trying to avoid when I started looking at a 30-inch modular ice machine. And the reason I'm breaking it down for you today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation most people have with a unit like this is the modular claim. It sounds like a plug-and-play solution, but in practice it means you have to think ahead about the storage bin and any dispenser you want to pair it with. The Maxx Iceall is built to slot into the brand's own 30-inch bins, the bin 650 and the larger bin 950, but those bins aren't bundled. So you're essentially buying a machine and then a separate container before you can actually start making ice. If you already have a compatible bin or you're comfortable ordering one later, the modular approach works great. If you expected an all-in-one package, you'll need to factor in that extra cost and shipping time. What really sets this machine apart in real-world use is the production rate. It's rated for up to 1,000 pounds of full dice ice per day, which translates to roughly 1,215 pounds per hour if you run it continuously. For a small restaurant that needs a steady flow of ice for drinks and food prep, that volume means you won't be scrambling to refill bins every half hour. I've seen a similar capacity in larger commercial units that cost twice as much, so the headline number does hold water for businesses that actually need that output. On the flip side, that same production capacity can be a double-edged sword for a home user or a hobbyist caterer who only needs a few pounds of ice for weekend gatherings. Running a machine that can churn out a ton of ice means higher electricity draw and a louder operation. In a quiet kitchen or a small office break room, the hum can become noticeable, especially if the unit is tucked under a counter. The good news is the design includes a hinged front panel that swings open for easy access to the water line and internal components. When it comes time for routine cleaning, you don't have to wrestle with a cramped door. The panel swings wide enough to let a brush and a bucket slide in, which is a real time saver compared with models that require you to disassemble the whole front. Maintenance is another practical point. Commercial ice makers are notorious for mineral buildup and mold if you neglect the cleaning schedule. The Maxx Iceall's front panel access means you can reach the evaporator and the water pump without taking the unit apart, and the stainless steel housing resists corrosion, so you won't be fighting rust stains after a few months. That said, the machine still relies on a standard water line, so you need a reliable source of filtered water to avoid scaling. If you have hard water in your area and don't have a filtration system, you'll end up with more cleaning cycles and potentially reduced ice quality. Now, let's talk about who should actually consider putting this machine in their space. If you run a bar that sees a steady stream of customers from early evening to close, need a dedicated ice supply for a small catering business, or manage a hotel minibar that has to stay stocked without a full-time staff, the Maxx Iceall makes sense. Its modular nature lets you add a second unit on top of the first with an adapter, so you can scale up without rewiring an entire system. That stacking capability is a hidden advantage for anyone who anticipates growth but doesn't want to overhaul equipment later. Conversely, if you're a homeowner who only wants ice for occasional parties, or a small office that just needs a few trays a day, you're probably better off with a countertop nugget or cube maker. Those smaller units cost less, use less power, and sit on a countertop without needing a dedicated 30-inch floor space. The Maxx Iceall, at its size, also requires a solid, level floor and enough clearance for the hinged panel to open fully. If your kitchen layout is tight, you might end up with a piece of equipment that's more of a visual obstacle than a functional asset. One practical strength that often gets overlooked is the compatibility with beverage dispensers. Because the machine is designed to match the Maxx Ice brand's dispensers, you can set up a seamless flow from ice production straight into a soda fountain or a coffee bar. In a setting where speed and hygiene matter, think a busy breakfast service where you want cold brew coffee served over ice without a staff member scooping. That integration cuts